Did you hear about the two men who wore lead masks to see beyond the light? I won't give you a riddle. Don't blink. My old TV will tell the rest.
August 1966, Niterói, across the bay from Rio de Janeiro. On the slope of Morro do Vintém, the grass is stiff and yellow. The wind climbs the hill long before your feet do, and the city's glow below looks close enough to touch. A boy goes up to fly a kite and comes back with a secret the whole country will argue about for decades. Two men are lying there in the brush, side by side, dressed too neatly for the weeds that hold them. Neatly pressed suits, plastic raincoats over the jackets, a glass bottle nearby, emptied, a scrap of paper with a few careful lines written in pencil. And on their faces, this is the part that stops everyone. Their eyes are covered with plates of metal, cut by hand. Lead masks. Their names, when police finally climb the hill and work through the heat and the grass and the puzzled onlookers, are identified as Manuel Pereira da Cruz and Miguel José Viana. They're electronics technicians from Campos dos Goitacazes a few hours away, the kind of distance that sounds short on a map and long when you count the buses, the transfers, the time. People in their town know them as the guys who fix radios and televisions, the guys who can pull voices from the air and put them back into a box, who know which wire hums and which tube glows when it should. The paper they find near the men is damp at the corners from the night air, but the handwriting is steady. It lists times. 16:30, be at the place. 18:30, ingest capsules. Then one more line that reads like a ritual or a checklist. After effect. Protect. Wait for signal. Mask. The words have been copied and recopied through the years, and the exact phrasing shifts from retelling to retelling, but the spine of it doesn't change. Arrive, swallow, protect. Wait, mask. There are no bullet holes, no knife wounds that explain everything in a second. The wallets and watches are still there. No sign that somebody shook them down for cash on a hill that doesn't even have an easy escape. The questions multiply where the answers should be. What were the capsules? Why the raincoats? Why the masks? Why here? To understand how they arrived on a hillside under a big sky with lead on their eyes, you walk backward through the week. On the 17th, they leave town together, telling people they'll buy parts and be back soon. They stop and purchase raincoats. They buy a bottle of water. Raincoats. Someone remembers them in a shop. Someone else remembers the way they were in a hurry but not rude. They are not dressed like hikers. They are dressed like men who think they might meet someone important, or something important, and don't want to be caught looking shabby. Now, picture them as the sun slides. It's late afternoon. The first time on the note approaches. They reach the place, somewhere on or near Morro do Vintém. Up there, the city goes quiet in a strange way. The noise pulls down into a single thin thread, and what you hear instead is wind, the buzz of insects. The kind of silence that makes small sounds feel like confessions. At 6:30, by the note, they take the capsules. Whatever those were, no one can say with confidence. A sedative to calm the nerves? Something stronger? Something someone else promised would open whatever needed opening? They put on the raincoats, perhaps to keep the damp from chilling them as the ground cools, perhaps to keep the evening dew from soaking through. They lift the masks, two thin plates of lead curved roughly to fit the brow, edges cut by hand, joints soldered without finesse. These aren't helmets. They don't protect the skull. They don't cover the mouth. They cover only the eyes. You don't forge something like that unless you are worried about brightness, about a flash, a glare, a burst of light so sharp you might regret seeing it without a shield. If you've ever loved radios, you know there's a romance to signals. The world talks all the time if you have the right antenna and enough patience. There are voices and numbers and long mechanical sighs stitched across the dark. Manuel and Miguel are men who believe in the idea that something is out there to be received. They are used to waiting beside devices that don't speak until they do, and the note says it plainly enough in its own code. After the effect, wait for the signal. But the signal, if it came, did not bring them back down the hill. People will argue forever about what the signal meant. Some say they were trying to glimpse a bright phenomenon in the sky, something that would burn if you stared at it naked. Others say it was a spiritual exercise dressed up in the language of technicians, a hope that the world would reveal a layer beneath the visible if they aligned time and mind and metal. Still others say the simplest thing. Somebody coaxed them up there with the right words, put something in their hands to swallow, and left. The facts that keep pulling the story back from the edge of wild speculation are plain and unglamorous. There was no theft. The positions of the bodies suggested they lay down rather than were thrown down. The weather didn't demand raincoats, the ground did. There were no obvious signs of a struggle that the hill refused to swallow. It is those small, stubborn details that make the mystery feel less like a ghost story and more like a locked room, except the room is open air. Think about the masks again. Lead is not kind to work with if you want something elegant, but it is obedient if you want something quick. The edges on these are ugly, which means the point wasn't to impress anyone. It was to make a tool, a shield, for a specific moment. It's a choice you make when you think you'll need it once. The timeline keeps tapping the same hollow note. They leave on the 17th. They are found on the 20th. Somewhere in that gap, they climb the hill with water, raincoats, metal plates, and a promise. Arrive at 4:30, swallow at 6:30, protect, wait, mask. The hills are honest about very little, but they are honest about the view. Up there, even a skeptic understands why anyone might expect to see something extraordinary. There are versions of this story that lean hard into chemicals and dosages. There are versions that lean into symbols and faith. There are versions that lean into fear that someone else knew these men well enough to lead them step by step toward an ending with no witnesses and no noise. Whichever version you choose, the picture on the ground doesn't shift much. Two men who worked with light and sound tried to meet an appointment with both. Over the years, people will try to sharpen the fuzzy parts. Some say the wording on the note could translate to protect the metals, as if they were worried about equipment. Others say it reads protect oneself, as if they were worried about the consequences of the effect. In the absence of the original paper, in a dry and perfect state, you learn to live with how stories breathe. The core remains. Go there, take this, guard, wait, mask. Now step into their shoes for a minute. The city breathes below. The last warmth slides off the grass. You are not a mystic by trade. You are a technician. You trust steps, sequences, lists. You write the times down so you can follow them when your hands shake. You prepare for brightness because brightness is understandable. It can blind, and eyes are fragile. You steady your nerves because nerves can ruin the best experiment. You make the instrument as best you can with what you have. Then you do the strange human thing, strange and ordinary. At the same time, you wait for something to happen. Maybe they saw a flash. Maybe the world tipped for a second and they spent the rest of their lives trying to get the balance back and failed. Maybe nothing came and the capsules did what the signal did not. Or maybe they were never alone on that hill, and the person who left them made sure to leave no footprints anyone could read. There's a certain silence you only hear after a story like this reaches the point where it cannot go any further. It is the sound of people counting facts on their fingers and realizing they will always be one short. It is the sound of two pieces of metal on a table, of a bottle with no water left in it, of a note with times that have long since passed. When you look at the photographs, men in suits, masks that look almost theatrical until you touch them and feel the weight, you can tell the difference between a costume and a tool. These were tools. Someone expected a kind of brilliance and built two small shields against it. Someone expected a moment and wrote down when to be ready. Someone believed that the world would open at 6:30. What makes this story hold is not simply that no one can point to a single villain or a single chemical and say, there. It's that it rings with a kind of hope most of us don't admit out loud. The hope that there is a pattern you can catch if you tune yourself just right. The hope that the sky will answer if you ask politely and show up on time. The hope that the things you build with your hands can prepare you for what you cannot explain with your mouth. So we end up here, where it began, on a hill, with wind and dry grass and the low, endless hush of a city at your back. Two men, tidy enough to bring raincoats, and specific enough to bring lead. A note with hours, a bottle with nothing left in it, no robbery, no struggle worth writing down, a plan that looks like a plan until it doesn't. If you walk away from this with certainty, you're luckier than most. Most of us walk away with a handful of small stones. The times, the masks, the raincoats, the line about waiting for a signal. Turn them over enough and they don't become gold. They just become smoother. But maybe smooth is enough. Maybe smooth is what you get when you've carried a story for too long and it has worn the hard edges off your hands. There is, however, one more thing. Imagine the two of them not as a mystery, but as partners who shared a discipline. They trusted steps. They trusted each other. If something went wrong up there, it likely went wrong in unison. They weren't dragged to an ending. They walked to it, together, on purpose, even if the purpose turned into a question the second they closed their eyes. And that is where I leave you, with two men who believed in an appointment with the invisible, and a hill that kept their secret.
Now, write your truth right here on my channel. Tell me which part you trusted most. The times, the masks, the waiting, and which part kept you awake